Once upon a time, in a peaceful village surrounded by forests and distant snowy mountains, there lived a 22-year-old girl named Alina. On the outside, she looked calm and kind, always ready to help others, always smiling politely. But deep inside, her heart was full of storms. Every morning, she woke up feeling heavy. Her thoughts rushed in like waves crashing on rocks, regrets from her past, worries about her future, fear of making the wrong choices. They all danced restlessly in her mind. Even at night, when the world slept, Alina tossed and turned in bed, unable to quiet the noise in her head. One afternoon, as she sat near the riverbank, watching the ripples in the water, her grandmother came and sat beside her. Sensing Alina's sadness, she gently took her hand and said, "Child, you're carrying too many clouds in your heart. When I was young like you, I too felt lost. But I found peace in the words of a wise man who lives far away, in the misty mountains. He used to be a great teacher in the city, but one day he left it all behind to find silence in nature. Now, people say, he helps those who are truly seeking." That night, Alina couldn't sleep. Her grandmother's words kept echoing in her heart. He helps those who are truly seeking. Something inside her shifted. The very next day, she packed a few clothes, took her notebook and a scarf her mother had given her, and quietly left the village. She didn't know exactly where she was going, but she followed the rivers, asked shepherds for directions, and trusted the path to reveal itself. Days passed. She walked through rain and wind, across forests glowing with fireflies and mountains that touched the clouds. She slept under the stars, often afraid, sometimes cold, but always moving forward. Finally, after nearly 2 weeks, she reached a high cliff from where a narrow trail led to a quiet hilltop. There stood an ancient bell tower next to a small stone cottage. Vines and wildflowers curled around its windows. A soft breeze carried the scent of lavender and pine. In the garden, under a blooming cherry tree, sat the wise man. His eyes closed, his hands resting in his lap. He looked as still as a stone and as peaceful as the sky before sunrise. Alina stood silently for a moment, unsure if she should disturb him. But then, as if sensing her presence, the old man opened his eyes. They were full of kindness and calm. In a trembling voice, Alina spoke, "Sir, I came from far away. My heart is noisy. My mind runs all the time. I can't find rest. I want to feel peace. I want to be still." The old man listened without saying a word. Then, slowly, he stood up and beckoned her to follow him. He didn't ask about her past. He didn't ask about her pain. He simply walked to the base of the bell tower and took out a small brass spoon and a bowl of water. He filled the spoon gently and handed it to her. "Climb to the top of the tower," he said, "and return to me. But you must not spill even a single drop of this water." Alina stared at him, confused but nodded. With careful steps, she climbed the stone stairs inside the tower. The steps were uneven. The wind howled through broken windows. Birds flew past her, but she didn't notice any of it. Her full attention was on the tiny spoon in her hand. Every breath was slow. Every step was steady. When she returned, not a drop had fallen. The old man smiled. "Well done. But now tell me, what did you see from the tower? Did you notice the hawks flying below? The sunset painting the sky? Did you hear the sound of the old bell swinging gently in the breeze?" Alina looked surprised. "No, I didn't notice anything. I was too focused on the spoon." The man gently placed a hand over his heart and said, "That is the lesson. Your mind was in one place only, in the present moment, not in your past, not in your future. And because of that, there was silence." True peace comes not from avoiding life, but from meeting each moment fully, with all your attention, all your heart. Elena stood there in silence. Something inside her opened, like a window she didn't know existed. For the first time in years, she felt light. She stayed with the old man for a few days. She worked in his garden, listened to the wind, wrote in her journal, and began to observe everything. The rhythm of her breath, the colors of the leaves, the pause between thoughts. One evening, the old man gave her a parting gift, a small bronze bell with a silk thread tied to it. "Keep this with you," he said. "Whenever the mind becomes noisy again, hold it and breathe. Let it remind you of what silence feels like." When Elena finally returned to her village, the streets looked the same. But something inside her had changed. She still faced problems. She still had unanswered questions. But now, she knew how to be present. She knew how to return to herself. From that day on, whenever life felt heavy, Elena would sit by the river, hold the small bell in her hand and listen, not to the world around her, but to the silence within. Moral of the story: peace isn't something we find in the mountains. It's something we carry inside us. When we give our full attention to this very moment, the mind rests, and where the mind rests, peace begins. If this story touched your heart, do share it with someone who might need calmness today. More stories, new lessons, and gentle reminders are always on the way. Until then, stay present and stay peaceful.